This is American Dumpster Fire.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is the American Dumpster Fire, and I am Loki.
I'm here.
Odin.
And we are here to spit some more fury into your ear hole. So...
That was incredibly accurate.
No, I don't know. I think we might have something good in here somewhere. Something that won't completely piss you off. Well, for instance, Christine Blasey Ford receiving some kind of award or another.
Courage?
Is that what it was?
I think so.
I've got so many notes
You know what
here.
that reminded... Oh, God, no, I shouldn't compare the two. But just the way that I chimed in with courage reminded me of the scene in Deadpool. What's your superpower?
Oh, God.
Courage. But no, legitimately, like, that did take a lot of courage coming forward the way she did.
Well, especially seeing how you know that no matter what, no matter how much evidence is on your side, no matter how much truth is with you, Republicans are going to shit on you and smear you because they're awful human beings.
Like, not only did it take an insane amount of courage for her to come forward, but then she was freaking attacked because America just has this glow of rape culture that we are seemingly proud of for some reason.
Well, at this point, really...
And then ultimately, also, while we are proud of it, we also simultaneously deny that it exists. And it's kind of this interesting little mix of just disgusting people.
Yeah, I mean, well, they don't want to let go of it. They're afraid that their world has changed so much that they can't be rapey and gross anymore. And it doesn't change the fact that they can't.
Right.
But because they can't, they're going to just attack everybody who points that out to them, you know? So, well, speaking of courage, man, I've been keeping up with the Hong Kong protests because I want to see every major world government that doesn't directly represent the people just fall to its knees. I want it all burned to the ground, right? And Hong Kong is this beautiful representation of what we should all be doing, where they have really stood up to the government. I mean, they're putting their lives on the lines here. Some of these people know that they're not coming back from these protests, you know.
I mean, they knew that back in Tiananmen Square with the tanks.
And they're not stopping, right? So, I mean, I was watching a thing about these archers from Hong Kong University who are going into battle against the police, you know. And they're writing these notes to their families knowing they're not coming back, you know, because freedom is hard won, especially in a case like this, you know. But these brave students are going into battle against the police anyways, these notoriously corrupt police. So let's not, you know, I've seen, and I don't understand completely the people who are calling the protesters the bad guys. And
well, I mean, it's easy to make that argument one way or the other, depending on how you slant the news item.
There's a lot of people who think that the people who shake the status quo are the bad guys. But the status quo is often the bad guy.
Correct.
You know? So, but these protesters, the other thing I saw, this fucking amazing thing, these armored truck comes into battle against the Hong Kong protesters, and they lit the son of a bitch up with Molotov cocktails, and they had to back away. And I like... A bunch of people with wine bottles full of gasoline and rags fucking took down an armored truck. I was so happy to see that shit. It was great. This fucker's back away. He can't see where he's going. I thought he was going to hit a wall.
The problem is, I don't know what they expect to win out of this other than global attention.
Well, okay, this isn't a video game. So in video games, there's an endless supply of police.
It's China. I think that might still be true.
There's only so many. Look, they've already won their first thing, which was to kill the whole extradition bill. It's killed. China's like, all right.
Yeah, they exert pressure, sure.
But, they're like, we withdraw it. And they're like, no, we want democracy. And
you think they'll actually ever, I think
eventually it's going to strain their resources so bad they'll give in.
But
it's going to take a long time. It's going to take a lot of work.
I mean, you got to realize, since Britain backed off of Hong Kong...
Well, the problem is America would normally be, oh, this is perfect. You know, America would look at this as an opportunity to help the right people and pressure China into changing. But we have an idiot in office. So because we have an idiot in office, that idiot would back China in a heartbeat.
The problem is that China's a big country that makes a lot of products cheap. We do a lot of trade.
Yes. It is the next best thing to slave labor.
Right. And so the thing is that I don't know if it matters who's in charge. I think if we had a nice, perfect Democratic president, he would definitely do lip service to, pro-democracy and hoping for the best for other nations. But I don't think anybody would actually do anything that would actually matter, because we never want to piss off that country.
We don't want to threaten our slave labor workforce.
That's what I'm saying. Why upset the cart?
So that's not fair. They're paying the employees. It's 20 cents a pair of shoes or something like that.
No, it actually has gotten a little bit better. A lot of things have improved, but it's still not great.
It's disgustingly below what we pay somebody here. You want to know why you don't have jobs here? It's because large corporations can pay pennies on the dollar to the Chinese to make it. And
if they get too expensive, they go to India. If that gets too expensive, they find somewhere else.
But those people have to live in absolute squalor to be able to do it.
I saw a documentary where they were showing them living in a warehouse, charging them for utilities. So they had a unit cost for every bunk in the bed.
Oh, we did that. That was the robber baron age.
So they charge them for gas and electricity, regardless of the fact if they actually manage to save up enough to actually get an apartment of their own, which they probably shared with like 10 other people. I'm sure it was like a New York situation. But even if you lived off campus, if you want to put it that way, they still got charged for the room. That was just part of their job's bill.
Yeah, the one time I saw like anything on this at all, and this was a long time ago, but it was basically they had these like 10-foot tall like chain link fences around the area.
Nets.
These people basically lived at their job.
Yeah.
Worked insane hours, made crap pay, and like it was just appalling.
It is time.
It's appalling
for a global uprising.
I think robotics.
Oh my God, it really is.
It is time to take out all of the robber barons. It's time for them to go. It's over. We don't need this anymore. That's it. We can easily
and
replace.
Here's the thing that I think that they're the same group of people is like running the whole fucking world at this point. It's a handful.
It's like 680 people or something.
Yeah,
like that.
a handful
it's not that many.
of people comparatively.
Well, the more connected the world is, the less super powerful rich people you need to run it all.
Well, you don't need any of them.
Yeah, we don't
need
any
none.
of them.
I'm just saying, there was a time when your evil guy was local.
Here's the fun fact is that the little peons like us and those workers in China, we're doing all the actual labor and everything of value.
Sure.
Okay, I got in this argument.
And they are raking in all the profits.
I got in this argument the other day where somebody was like, "Oh, pick on the poor pharma exec who, made your life-saving medication." I'm like, "Whoa. He didn't make it. He didn't design it. He didn't build it. He didn't create it. He didn't produce it. He didn't do any of that. He just owns the patent. The guy who invented it is probably poor. There are some scientists somewhere. Comparatively,
I'm sure they're upper middle.
Comparatively, 60,000, 70,000 a year, maybe.
It's got to be a little more than that.
Comparatively, they get fucked out of everything they make.
Sure.
I
mean, they work for a corporation, so the intellectual property is not their own.
The guy running the corporation was probably some trust fund douchebag that went to Harvard and only has his job because of the connections he made there.
And a lot of that stuff is going to be developed in colleges.
The people with the money buy the patents, and they're the ones who are raking in profits when they jack the prices up so much that nobody can afford the prescription that they need to survive.
Being born into money is not a talent. We don't need those people.
And the stuff that's developed in colleges are going to be owned by people that put forth the grants, who are overseas.
Look. We're getting gouged on things like the EpiPen and on insulin. But
AIDS medications.
Those patents were created by the United States government. They were created with government funding. We should be shareholders. Right. Why aren't we deciding the prices? Why aren't we making the money? Or why the fuck don't we just make our own pharmaceutical company that is owned by the people for the people? I mean...
Oh, I know the answer to this one. Do you want the actual answer?
Because capitalism is evil?
Because they don't give a shit if people live. All they care about is squeezing every last penny you own out of you.
Well, that's why common medication is fairly affordable with a copay if you're fortunate to have a job and insurance. But God forbid you actually have a life-threatening illness pop up, because that life-saving medication, because it's just not commonly sold every 5 seconds, even though it is a pretty common to the medical industry, will be jacked way the hell up, because nobody's going to notice that until they need it.
No, what's happened in the medical industry is that they realize that you have a
no choice
that will probably kill you. You have no choice to buy it, or you die.
Right.
And you're going to do whatever it takes to get it.
Of course.
Some of them even understand.
Or you'll die.
Some of these people.
And they don't give a fuck.
Even understand that you will steal to get the money to pay them for the drugs you need. That you will.
Well, they don't give a fuck how they get
lie
money.
And cheat.
And they obviously don't care if it's dirty money, because they're literally willing to price these things on the idea that they're going to lose. Like, people are literally going to die because they've jacked up the prices to this extent. They don't give a fuck. They don't care about human lives. They're not in this industry to help.
And the problems with the medical industry don't end there. I mean, I know somebody who just went through cancer surgery and everything like that not too long ago, and their blood thinners were $1,000 per month or something like that.
Right.
But if they didn't have them, they were going to clot and possibly fucking get
right.
an embolism or a stroke.
$1,000 a month. I'm sorry.
Right.
Who the fuck can come up with $1,000 a month?
And you can't tell me it costs that much to make this shit.
No.
Oh God, no.
No.
So
I mean, I'm all for R&D paying back a little bit to the research, but I mean, they're just straight up gouging. And a lot of the stuff has been around for so damn long.
It would be better if we just had government research on this stuff. It would just be better.
No.
I mean, we sell this stuff overseas, and it's like 35 cents. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody was just telling me about somebody who had like, and it wasn't a life-saving thing. It was like a knee, some torn thing in their knee or something like that. And the dude literally was able to, for less than it would have cost to do it here, fly. He wasn't from America, or he is a citizen, but, you know, originally somewhere else. He flew home to family overseas, stayed with him for like a month, had his surgery, cost him like nothing. It was basically a vacation for the guy. It came back, like, and it would have been utterly absurd to do it here.
So
for like less than the price of having, you know, this insane surgery here, you could basically go on a month-long
Well, that raises an interesting point. Can you legally apply for asylum for medical cost?
That would depend on the country, I would assume. But the fact of the matter is that if we did do universal health care, it would roughly cost about $200 a person if we did it correctly, of course. Now, this is America.
That's per month?
Yeah, $200 a month. And therefore, you will have some capitalist trying to screw the system to make a ton of money.
Right.
So
well, that's kind of what they did by softballing universal care with this going through the insurance companies that we just need to just cut out completely. If we had single payer, it'd be that. But going through the insurance companies, no. They got all the different hands, the exchanges, all this fun bullshit.
The second all of this stuff passed, but before it ever went into place, they just gouged their prices up. We'll make a profit one way or another. And so they
and they're always raising it.
This is the danger of not being progressive enough. Because we could have saved our country a ton of money and done the right thing the first time. But instead we
tried to play ball with the
reached across the aisle to a bunch of corrupt sons of bitches.
Exactly.
So when realistically we should have Medicare for all or universal health care or something like that, which would be drastically cheaper, it just wouldn't benefit some large corporation.
Right. The huge downfall in I get what they were trying to do, but the huge downfall was making all of the concessions that allowed them to fuck it up so terribly.
Yeah, you can't bargain with Republicans just like you can't bargain with terrorists. Not sure there's much distinction.
I mean, at this point, I'm not either. I feel like our whole government's being held hostage.
They are, yeah.
Well, I mean, all the government shutdown should tell you that.
But, yeah, I mean, it absolutely pisses me off. It pisses me off that life-saving medications are being held hostage. You know,
people are literally dying.
Yep.
Like literally dying.
And they know.
They know. They know they're opting to skip health care. Their families are watching them die because they refuse to leave them hugely in debt when they go.
Right. And rather than do the right thing, we find ways to profit off of it.
Well,
the
I mean,
fact
you always
that
hear
there
about
are
this.
so many people so high up that I can't comprehend of the fact that they even have a soul. Like, how do you live with yourself? How do these like pharmaceutical people and these medical people who know damn well that they're making a conscious decision to price hike these life-saving medications, how do you live with yourself? You're a piece of shit.
Because they have Obamacare. They can afford their health care. They can afford their drugs. They don't give a fuck about you.
It's this concept that maybe there's like some ounce of like morality. Like
it's terminal greed.
You are a soulless demon. Like,
well,
that is my thought.
It's a system out of control because, I mean, you got the hospitals who have to pay the staff, and they got investors that they got to pay back, and they got the doctors got to pay for insurance in case of certain lawsuits, which, I mean, some of it's frivolous, but some of it, I mean, it's just stupid mistakes that they do need to pay for.
If we did single payer with those lawsuits and all that stuff,
I think some of them still need to exist because you remove the wrong leg. You need to pay.
Okay,
You
yes,
need to answer to
but
that.
but
To
scenarios.
some extent, but the insurance wouldn't be the same.
Right. Scenarios where the situation can be fixed, and normally it would just be about paying the medical bills of this person. It would be mitigated. The system already would be covering that. You know what I'm saying? In fact, we'd lose a lot of lawsuits because of healthcare taking care of a lot of things.
Right, and you would essentially be paying the government, right, for your procedure. Like, assuming
Well, no, you'd be
it's
paying yourself. It's just like the and brain fart.
just like the
Medicare. I mean, with the retirement
like
fund
you
we are all
pay
paying
your
into that
technical-
they're
Yeah,
constantly
yeah.
robbing.
We'd all be contributing.
Social Security.
to the
Yes,
same
thank
system.
you, Jesus.
Which, don't let anybody lie to you, the only reason it's not perfectly solvent is because they've been robbing it.
Yeah,
Right,
they keep
they've been
they
taking
keep
money
borrowing
out.
against it to fund wars and other efforts, and instead of
And don't get me wrong.
and they were like, oh, we're going to pay it back, which never happens.
Medicare for All or universal health care, or whatever you want to call it, would, in the beginning, have an elevated rate of use.
And it would be a
Uh,
huge burden for a year or two.
But once people caught up, once
Right.
people had their, health, under control, they were able to visit a doctor.
Well,
and make
we are
things
so
work.
diseased and so not taking care of ourselves because of copays that it might take a little while. I mean, there's going to be people who badly need dental work.
Oh, I
There's
agree.
people who are put off
Dental
procedures.
work is huge. I know so many people who can't
Well,
afford
here's the thing,
any
though.
dental
Don't you
work.
think that some of this would be better? Because we're wasting our health classes in high school, right? And the big battle is always about sex education because a bunch of prude freaks are afraid that your kid's going to learn
Oh
about
my
sex.
God, grow up.
But the
Like
fact-
somehow knowing about it's going to lead to having it.
But the fact of the matter is that health
When the
class could be
opposite
used
is
for
true.
so much more, and and I'm not saying don't teach about sex. Definitely teach about sex, but because hiding it just makes it worse. Anything you hide festers and becomes worse.
Right.
But imagine if we taught in health class all these long-term issues, how to take care of yourself, what happens if you don't, the right way to eat and exercise.
Oh,
The fact-
sure.
Because a lot of people are like, oh, I exercise at work. It's like, it's not quite how it works, and we don't have a full scope of it. You don't understand the consequences of dehydration and things like that, that you learn from medical school. And it's like, and when I went to medical school, I learned a bunch of things. I'm like, this shouldn't be something you're just learning in medical school. This should be something that we learned in high school. Should be stuff that we are
I agree, but I
teaching
think
kids.
the current state of things is that health class was cut entirely from curriculums in this area.
My kid has health class, but
Does
it's
he?
damn near useless.
Oh, okay, because it was cut. I know that I got a letter at one point that it was cut. Maybe it was only temporarily.
Well, to be fair, our state just passed a law that your kid can get questions wrong on a test as long as they cite religious reasons.
Yes, because the Earth is 6,000 years old.
Right. So
And flat.
we are catering to morons.
I don't know if it actually states the
we
shape
are
of the Earth in the
catering to
Bible.
morons.
It doesn't, no. But anyways, that's what I'm saying. If we start culturally, and we teach these people from high school on up, then you can ease the burden of the system, because I don't think people want to be sick.
Oh God, no.
I don't think people, like if you knew what to do from the start, I think most people would at least do close to it.
I don't know that teenagers would, but having
No,
that
but
information once they reach adulthood would be good.
That's what I'm saying.
Part of the
Like
problem.
they're not going to
also-
hear a lot of it,
Well, some
but
of
it's
us
going to
make
live
it
in the back of
fun,
their head.
Make it enjoyable. We make everything seem like
You're
it's
also-
a burden or a chore.
Okay,
and
but
it's
now
not.
you're bleeding into another issue, and the fact that college
Culture.
students can basically afford ramen noodles or they can starve. So that's a new issue.
Well, yeah. I mean, universal education. is a whole other
Ultimately,
story.
healthy food is more expensive.
That's
Nobody
true.
can afford it.
But
That's
yeah,
true.
I mean that's, health, crime, all of this stuff stems from trying to raise a kid to be a productive member of society. If you don't want him to be a burden, you don't want to be just a cog in a machine. If that's not what you're actually engineering, we're not doing a very good job of funding that.
I used to have this cockamamie idea that in spite of the way the rest of the world worked, that you could possibly get enough people together to create a society where things worked for the people, right? That you could maybe build vertical farms and have clean energy and stuff like that. Because
Like a high-tech hippie commune?
yeah, kinda. But the truth of the matter is
I'm
that
so in.
that there are people who actually actively work against this stuff. That they lobby against your ability to do this.
Oh, sure.
I mean, there are billionaires out there who fight like you already have systems in place like public transit or something like that, and they'll actually fight to close down already paid for public transit.
Yeah.
So you are forced to buy a car or
and
take a
spend
cab or
money
something
on
like
gas
that.
and all that.
Right.
Yeah, not only that, but the thing is, like they work to shut down clean energy and things
Right.
like that too. And the bottom
While
line is
investing in themselves, so that when the
those
transition actually happens, they're right in line.
Right, yeah.
those kinds of things are tearing down the very foundation that America was built on. This is supposed to be the land of opportunity, right? It's not supposed to be, he who has the most money wins. It's supposed to be that we all have a shot to get the American dream. So when you're actively blocking people from, doing those kinds of things, creating their vertical farms and solar energy and wind energy and all that, like you're basically defying this country.
But, okay, so now we've had the impeachment hearings all week, and I know it sounds like I just derailed there, and I'm not. The fact of the matter is that 17 witnesses came forward. 17 witnesses said basically the same thing. They basically said that quid pro quo was, in fact, something that happened. Donald Trump was guilty of quid pro quo. Yet, if you go on any conservative media, they say that the witnesses said the exact opposite thing that they actually say.
That's
I
because
mean, it's not like there's
conservative
videotape or
media-
anything.
Okay. These people, but the people
They
who
won't watch
consume this,
videotapes.
people who consume right-wing media,
It is a
want-
very boring investigation.
These people want to be fooled. They want these comforting lies, They are avoiding reality on purpose. They are purposely sticking their head in the sand so that they don't have to hear the truth.
Well, it's tribalism.
that they were wrong all along.
Great, but here's
They've
the
already
bottom
got
line.
a group they associate with. They're not about to change horses midstream, no matter what fact you throw at them.
Well,
Yeah, it
everybody
doesn't
already
matter.
thinks they're garbage. So what are they going to do now?
It doesn't matter. Ultimately, Trump was right when he said he could walk down the middle of New York and shoot somebody, and they would still take his side.
They'd
He
probably
was fucking
applaud him.
right.
They
he
are a
was
cult.
not wrong. That is a cult, yes. But the bottom line is, does it matter that Fox News and whoever else is just blatantly lying to the public?
The reason I say this is that
Sure.
No, I know, but they're not the deciding factor.
as long as they exist,
outside of the vote,
nothing's going to change. We're not going to be able to fix things.
You got like
they're
damn near
not
half
the
the
deciding
population
factor on the impeachment.
believing an entire
No,
different
no.
thing. You don't think that that's a problem?
You have
Oh, it's obviously a problem.
you have the entire Republican
that
Party.
problem runs fucking deep.
You have the entire
But-
you have Republican congressmen up there spouting conspiracy theories without a shred of evidence
Oh, that's not now.
in the hearing. Okay, these people have no intent to hold Trump responsible for anything.
Oh, I get that. I think
I'm just saying,
you're
if
talking
you,
about like news sources and stuff
No, no, no.
revealing this to the
It's
public.
all one thing. It's one big cult.
and that's the scary thing, because if we can actually do something, and he is disposed or deposed or whatever,
Either or. That's I'm fine with. Yeah, just recycle.
and say you even went as far as to prosecute him, and he actually went to a jail. These are the people who are threatening civil war.
So here's something else.
Yeah,
that I-
but Meal Team 6 doesn't scare me. Okay.
They do.
These-
They do.
No, these fat morons don't scare me.
I'm not saying that they could like form a nice marching line or anything, but they can definitely have an opening spray that could do a lot of damage from their hover rounds.
Their opening spray comes from a colostomy bag, not their machine guns.
So it sounds like one of the people who spoke said that the vice president was also aware of everything going on.
They're all complicit.
No, I know they are, but there wasn't a lot of finger pointing in Pence's direction before, and so
Pence is usually tying up the fingers in other ways.
Yeah, I think he's trying to distance himself as much as possible.
well, obviously, but the fact that he's being
Well, yeah, he's hoping to be
here's
vice
the
president
problem.
if it all goes through, but it's
no, he's hoping to be
God
actual
forbid.
president.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
But
yeah,
that
that's what I-
man-
that's what I meant.
That man is every bit as evil. Every bit as evil.
Okay, I'll tell you. I think Trump is an idiot.
Trump
Okay.
is a moron.
Pence is evil.
Pence is evil.
So, I mean, I don't think Trump's a good person,
No, he's a terrible person.
but Pence is like fucking Palpatine evil. Like,
That's a fair assessment.
so, yeah.
I just don't know if he'd be. I wonder if he would have the same support. Like, would he be as effective
As
at being so
Palpatine
dangerous
or as Trump?
as
I thi-
Trump? Because Trump is willing to do anything and everything that anybody wants of him.
I think for evangelicals, Pence was the goal all along.
Well, sure, he's got their crazy ass belief structure and everything, but what I'm saying is, would he have the political support behind him if he was in office that Trump has?
I think they're so afraid of ever admitting they're wrong
Here's
about
my
anything that
thing.
they would jump right on board.
I don't think it's just Trump. I think that it's this whole party, and I think that their entire goal, because this has become so outrageous that I truly can't see any other goal here other than to destroy the government from the inside.
Well, that's how you get smaller government.
No, I think that's how you
break it into pieces.
make us vulnerable enough for Russia to come in.
Oh yeah, I think this all benefits Putin.
I agree. But I mean, honestly, these people have turned this into such a fucking circus and a shit show that I can't conceive of any other motive.
I was watching them like show images of these guys, like somebody pointed out they're completely baffled by synonyms and stuff like that, and I'm like, these are the dumbest group of villains ever. Like the problem is that like you're thinking like Nunes and Jim Jordan and stuff like that are stupid, but then the people who support them are even dumber. Like, how do you get lower levels of stupid? Like, how are there so many tiers of stupid back in the Republican Party, and how are there so many of them to get a president?
Are
in
they
office?
actually stupid, or
They
are
are.
they
No,
playing
they're stupid. They are fucking idiots. They are dumb. But there's so many of them. It's just like
Because that party thrives on the idea on followers who are not educated, folks who are
he
not.
said it himself. I love the
That
poorly
wasn't
educated.
always the case, but
What the
nowadays,
hell?
You didn't hear that? Trump said that.
I mean, I'm not surprised, but I don't
Nowadays
recall.
it
He
is.
said
His
so many
campaign.
things.
and the bottom line is they're counting on the fact that these people won't watch the video, as you said.
Oh, they made it
They
seem like it was
won't watch
unpatriotic.
an impeachment video. Oh yeah, he absolutely did.
Yeah,
that
and
was,
then
oh my
they're like,
god,
oh,
that
I'm not
was
gonna watch it. Oh, good for you. Your brainwashing's solid.
right. Like people who
Wow.
oh, he's
So
not putting
stupid.
children in cages, and then there's a video of Pence standing next to the children in
Yeah.
cages, and the people who like can't even lay down
we
because
we
they're
have-
so packed into a
We
fucking
know somebody
cage.
who refuses to believe that there are children in cages, even in the face of videos.
Because and that's the point, is that they're counting on the fact that they don't want to know, that they don't want knowledge, that these answers that are right there for them to see, they're going to bury their head in the sand as opposed to seeing it.
Like, how do you live with yourself? How do you live with yourself being this greasy?
It's an
Like-
unending state of denial.
But I just don't get it. Like, I don't think I could ever be that awful. Like, I've done terrible things in my life. Okay, I'll fully admit it. Like, and I look back and I'm like, wow, that was shitty. Like, I regret some of the shitty things I've done.
Okay.
Really?
You know, there's a lot of things I've done I don't regret, but I don't know. Like the shitty things I've done, I'm like, ooh, that was bad. You know,
I don't know.
like
I
how do
wouldn't say
you
that
go
I-
and do what these guys have done? It's never been as shitty as one of our Republican representatives.
That's my thing, is that I don't know. I've got a pretty strong moral compass,
Like-
and I've never done anything that I really like.
Yeah, like I stole
maliciously-
that parking spot. That
like,
was
I
wasn't
never
nice.
did anything malicious to anybody. But like these people, that's part of my thing, is like, just how do you live with yourself?
Yeah.
How do these people live with themselves? I don't know.
It's gotta be the money. The money's gotta make it easier.
I wouldn't know. Maybe that's what it is.
So I don't know.
I like
You're
to think
assuming
that I
that
couldn't be
they
corrupted
care about
that
other
way.
people.
No, I think
The guilt comes
I
from
think
a
a good
concern.
majority
No,
of them
my concern is, why don't they
because
care
they're
about
psychopaths.
I was
That's
gonna-
why.
Well,
life?
sociopathy,
They are,
but yeah.
I think that these psychopaths have risen to the top of the Republican Party. No, I think a good chunk of them are capable of strangling cats in their spare time. I think that's who they
Kittens, man.
are. Yeah,
Kittens.
yeah.
I mean, if it makes them feel powerful,
I think Devin.
get some good joke.
I think Devin Nunes probably beats up puppies for fun.
So what happened with this whole people paying Trump to have their positions thing?
Oh yeah, that's the one ambassador or whatever. He was a $1 million campaign contribution. Boom,
Okay,
gets
so
the
that-
job.
I don't think this is the first time I've heard a
No.
news
The-
item that
the
sounded exactly like
Sondland
this.
What I understand though is that you can be a criminal as
Uh-huh.
long as while you're committing a crime,
Uh-huh.
you are stating that you are not committing that crime.
I think that only applies to the president.
That's what I'm getting. I'm getting that we can do this. I'm going to try it out tomorrow.
Is that
I'm
the
going
wasn't
to-
me defense?
I'm going to rob a bank while proclaiming loudly that I am not robbing this bank and I do not want this money.
I think while you do it, you
Caught
got to
your butt
blame it.
naked,
You
being on
have
the
to
bathroom
blame
floor?
it on the bad hombres.
Right.
And
is
that's
these
what,
bad hombres.
right.
Yes.
And make sure you have a tiki torch.
Yes.
just in
absolutely.
case.
Yeah, and a small penis.
Exactly.
Khakis.
Yes, that's what it is. And live in your mother's basement and working in Subway.
Why Subway?
That's what they do, dude. Like seriously, 5 of them who were arrested in Charlottesville worked at Subway
I'm so glad I don't eat at Subway.
and hadn't had a girlfriend in like a decade. Like, dude, I'm ugly and I get girls. So, sorry, guys. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's your personality.
I was gonna say.
Gee,
yeah.
you think? That might have something to do with it.
Yeah, it might be who you are as a person.
Right.
Try
You
growing
know
up.
they're incels, right?
So.
They think that girls should be passed out to them at some point.
Right, yeah.
I just-
Oh, I was promised bitches.
Yeah.
Yeah, and jobs, right?
Can't
yeah,
imagine-
yeah. Why don't I have bitches and jobs?
Can't
'Cause you're
imagine why they're
terrible at
not
everything.
I mean, how does that
Flocking to
work?
you, you
Do you
piece
get
of
like a wooden
shit.
crate? You know, the mailman drops it off. I mean,
Full of bitches. It's just overflowing with bitches and money.
just like foam. You know,
Well, they expect more than one at a time,
those
Yeah, right.
packing peanuts and.
Fragile.
and then they can't take them out of the crate because then God knows they'd run away.
Right.
No, they lose value.
Oh, this isn't the one I wanted. Oh, they're tagged. They're tagged. It's okay.
Okay, that was like 5 pop culture references in a minute.
Too many? Too many? Did they overflow?
Anyway,
That last one was Quagmire, in case you didn't know.
yeah, I don't know. Let me know how your bank heist goes.
If the president can do it, can't I plead? The president did it.
Like I said, I don't think it works that way.
For no one else on the planet,
Damn it.
not even his cronies.
Yeah, I think Giuliani might be the thing that takes him down eventually. Like, I think
Why?
that when Giuliani goes down, he'll take him with him.
Oh, he's got dirt.
Oh, he's definitely got dirt.
That is
That's
the
what's
guy
gonna take.
who's
The problem
recording
is-
everything.
Yeah.
You know he is.
The
He's the
problem-
guy with the Target sign on
Yeah,
his back.
That's what I was going to say. The problem is anybody with too much dirt on Trump, they won't live to see their trial.
That is something I worry about. Yeah, like
what's his name?
Epstein.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Trump killed Epstein, too.
Oh, God.
Not
no
personally,
doubt. Oh, no, he had
and he
to.
probably proclaimed the whole time to the hitman, I don't really want him dead, if you know what I mean. Absolutely don't go to the jail and strangle him. Don't do that.
I don't know.
And
I'm
then
really not decided one way or another on that. I know everyone.
Like-
It's a big controversy. Everyone's obsessed over. I don't know. I don't know that I buy one end or the other of that.
Rich people don't ever think they're going to pay for their crimes, so I don't
Because
believe
they don't.
I don't believe that Epstein killed himself because he was rich. He was never going to pay for his
He
crimes.
did not. No, he didn't kill himself. He was killed. There is not a doubt in my
Right.
mind. He was
Rich
killed.
people kill other rich people, so their crimes don't get
Fuck
exposed.
yes.
But yeah,
That's exactly what happened. All we don't know is who did it.
That's
who
the world we
ordered the
live in.
kill.
Right.
Who paid the guards
But
to
it's
look the
okay.
other way.
we know.
Facebook's on
but
the
we
case.
don't know. Air quotes in case you can't see. Like
For
you know.
those of you who aren't watching.
He's the guy saying, I absolutely don't want anybody to choke Epstein to death.
Mhm.
So,
Well, you know it wasn't him. Tiny hands.
yeah, not him personally, but Ivanka has man hands, I'm just saying. So,
You think she does anything for him?
I think she does a lot of things for him.
Tolerate?
Not Melania.
Share error?
No, not Melania, his daughter, Ivanka.
I don't want to know where this is going.
I don't either after that photo up.
Yeah.
What photo
There's
op?
too much
You know,
mom-
with her on his lap, that's way too. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's too
yeah.
much
Crazy.
I don't even need to
daddy-daughter
finish
time
this.
going on between those two. That is West Virginia all day.
I'm pretty
No.
sure that
Dude,
love
no,
is
the
one
worst
way.
One, the
Okay?
worst one
I don't think that
ever
goes both
saw-
directions.
The worst one I ever saw was that little video clip of something where someone was interviewing them, him and his daughter, and they're like, well, what's the thing you guys have most in common? And Trump goes, well, like, I was going to say sex. And then I'm like, oh.
Wait, what?
No.
And she just laughs, like, and brushes it off. And I'm just like,
And meanwhile, Don Jr.'s off camera. Why doesn't he love me?
I think I need context on that. What?
I don't know. It was a clip I saw. Like,
Okay.
literally.
I'm not surprised
Like,
at
I
all.
think he was
He's a
trying to be
fucking
funny,
creep.
and it was creepy.
Yeah, he's a creep.
Uh,
I don't doubt that they're porking. I just don't doubt.
I
I
do.
don't think
I
they
severely
are.
do.
I don't.
She could do better.
No, I don't doubt it. She may be able to do better. She may be doing better.
Her little Ken doll, but is he really any different? Like,
I don't think that has. I think he's smooth.
Who?
Jared?
The Ken doll, yeah.
Yeah, he's smooth. I don't think there's anything there. It's just.
They have a child, so.
Do they?
I mean, I don't know. Ultimately, whatever. But I mean,
baby flippers.
I feel like
Once again, this is not news. This is opinion and comedy.
We're not, but I'm just saying, like with her little Ken doll, she can like dress him up and like position him and stuff, and he just stands there and looks.
And then he
for
does awful things like choking songbirds in the middle of a song. So, I'm almost certain Jared Kushner does awful things like that. Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe so. I've never actually heard him speak. He's just the Ken doll in the background.
Yeah, pull the cord in the back.
Oh, okay.
There's a snake in my boots.
Was that a Toy Story reference?
Yeah, there's a snake in my boot. And Ivanka's like, that's where it went.
Oh, God. What is the next news item?
I don't know, man. I got lost in this.
Should we talk about the ugly-ass Tesla truck?
I don't think it's that ugly. Okay,
this is a 1980s future.
Yes,
like
it looks like
drawing.
It looks like 80s like Shadowrun kind of cyberpunk thing.
Dude, when I was like 8 or 9, and I was drawing what I thought aerodynamic cars look like, this is the future car I drew up. Okay, this is a grown adult, supposed genius, billionaire.
Okay, what was it called again? What did he call it? Cybertruck or something like that?
Yeah,
and I think he should have gone with Future Truck. You know, because it that sells it about right. Future Truck, fuck yeah.
No,
like,
but Cybertruck, you want to bone it. So I think that's what he's selling.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I like the other one though. There was 2 pictured, but the one that is, I guess, the premier truck.
Yeah, the one that they just showed today
is really sharp lines, but then they have a slightly more contoured one that looks better.
Now I heard someone on the radio describing it before I saw the picture, and I think it was a very apt description. It's a triangle on top of a rectangle. That's exactly what it is.
Isn't that trapezoid?
Whatever. Oh, squash pentagon.
So.
It is. It's not attractive. Well, the funniest part was, he has this metal ball bearing, and he's talking about how the windows are basically bulletproof, which nothing's bulletproof, bullet resistant to a certain degree, yes. So the whole point that he was trying to get across, and maybe they didn't coach him right, but they certainly didn't test it in advance, is that in your front window is safety glass. When it gets hit, it's supposed to have spider web around and not actually like throw glass in your face and cut you to ribbons in a car accident.
To be fair, it didn't do that.
So he surrounded the whole car in this type of glass. And from what he made it describe, it was some patent special glass that was supposed to be even better than that. So he takes a metal ball bearing, smaller than baseball from what I understand, and has a guy toss it.
That's a big-ass ball.
No,
bearing.
he was supposed to be like throwing it. He's like doing this huge wind-up, but it ends up just being this low velocity, just flung the toss, and it hits the window, and it just spiderwebs horribly, right? And they're like, oh, well, it didn't go through, so. And then, I can't remember how it went, but the guy who tossed the ball tried to say something to recover, and basically talks him to do, let's do it again on the other window. And exact same thing happens again. So this is at the very first 5-10 minutes of his lecture.
Okay, that's hard. You should have saved that one. That's something like, oh, now I gotta go through this whole.
And it's up there on the dais, right behind him.
Failure in front of everybody.
Right, for like an hour while he's talking about all the features.
That's painful.
And I want Tesla.
I feel bad for him. No, I do.
I love that guy. He's crazy.
I love Elon Musk. I think he's he's goofy and batty and stuff like that. But
he will own a planet someday. I believe it.
Yeah, I think he is one of our best hopes for a better future. So when shit like that happens to him, I know he's going to go back to the drawing board and fix it.
Right, but why did they not test it before the show?
Yeah,
that's the funniest part.
Because he gets overconfident and cocky with certain things. He has so many success, and he just had a SpaceX rocket blow up on him. So
really?
I was
they had it land and everything. I mean,
I know, another failure. It's just like, these are too close together, man. He's got to recover. Because I think his shareholders are extra harsh on him. It's like with all of his successes, why are his shareholders so hard on him?
Well, I don't know if you've seen, but the new NASA designs, which are done through a third party, I don't know if it was SpaceX or whatever the Amazon one is or whoever.
Yeah, who gives a fuck?
Well, at any rate, there's a new space shuttle that was originally designed to be a space taxi. So, low Earth orbit, bringing satellites into space and refueling.
Well,
and
right now,
supplying.
SpaceX has that contract.
Now, it looks like it's pretty aerodynamic with this turned up wing design. And it looks a little bit like the space shuttle that you saw in Farscape, if anybody remembers that show.
Nobody does.
Well, it's a good show, but whatever, fine. Point is, it's a more sleek, aerodynamic, kind of stealth bomber-ish, smaller, more landable like a plane space shuttle. And the whole purpose of it is instead of flying up in itself with a booster strapped to it, it actually sits inside of a booster with boosters tacked onto it. And now that you've got Elon Musk landing booster rockets as reusable, that's where we're likely to go. So that's kind of sad to hear that they had that after so many successful tests.
If Elon Musk can successfully recycle booster rockets, you can recycle your garbage. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's just so much engineering and waste that goes into.
No,
that.
he's brilliant, and I know he'll pull through this.
And it saves a lot of fuel.
Do we have anything left?
I mean, I don't think there's anything that pressing at the moment.
Yeah, I had a couple of fluff pieces, but I think that was pretty good. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Thanks for joining in.